It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, it truly, truly is amazing. The corruption of the Obama administration, continuing to unravel. And it's, like I said, they would have gotten away with this. Totally. Except November 8th, 2016 didn't go the way they thought it would. All right. Listen, I'll get back to your calls in just a second. Well, home is where the heart is, isn't it? You've heard that 1,000 times, and it's time to love your home. Whether you're ready to update your siding or just thinking about it, you need to think. Allied Siding and Windows, they're the specialist to call. I know them well. These are good guys. They really are. And it's Hardy Plank time for your siding. Why Hardy Plank? Over 1,400 style and color combinations. That's number one. Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing. Long-lasting durability resists rot, wind, flame, UV pest, and that damaging hail we get in North Texas. Siding you can love for years. And when it comes to the right company, well, it's Allied. They've had the same name and phone number for 29 years. More than 40,000 satisfied customers. Give them a call. It takes about 30 seconds to set up a 30-minute estimate. They'll come out. No high-pressure sales. They'll look around, maybe take some measurements, give you some options. Then they'll leave you alone to make up your mind. How about that? Tell them I sent you. Get a $500 Amazon certificate with a whole home siding purchase. You also get 100% financing with zero down and zero interest for 18 months. Not bad, right? Give them a call, 972-888-9988. Give it to you again, 972-888-9988. Allied Siding and Windows, good guys. They're affordable, local, and reliable.
The rants and ravings of Mark Levin.
National security, national sovereignty, all these things. That's like the number one responsibility of the federal government. It's not on the table to be debated and negotiated. Do it, damn it. Secure the border.
Mark Levin.
5 to 8.
I'm out of words. I don't know what else to say.
News Talk 820.
WBAP.
McCarthy, the former assistant U.S. attorney in this particular case, and it's out there in the open. Saavedra did a great piece, great article, citing what U.S. Attorney, Assistant U.S. Attorney Andy McCarthy had to say, and is it? Yeah, it's hiding in broad daylight, and that's the worst kind. Is when it's hiding in broad daylight. Is there a secret society? I'm sorry, it sounds a little Art Bellish. Indeed. With the shadow people and the UFOs and all the other stuff. But, that secret society is just that. Shadow government, dark state, call it whatever you want. I mean, I just went through detail by detail of Saavedra and Andy McCarthy. You tell me, did you not see everything happen according to that timeline? Yes, you did. Can you accomplish that within government successfully without allies? No, you can't. Are they working in unison, in concert, as they say? Yes, they are. So, yeah, there's your deep state. There's your secret society. We're going to take more of your calls next. Very good call. I appreciate it, Diana. 1-800-288-WBAP, 1-800-288-9227. I'm Rick Roberts, and you are next.
Tuesday night at 8.
President Trump delivers his first State of the Union address.
We will make America strong again.
Complete 24/7 coverage.
Before, during, and after. Only here.
We will make America proud again.
On the news and talk of Texas.
And we will make America great again.
News Talk 820, WBAP.
WBAP.com.
I love you.
Hi, this is Rick Carlisle, head coach of the Dallas.
Message and data rates may apply.
Warning, texting while driving is illegal just about everywhere. So if you want to take advantage of a life-changing LASIK offer, pull over when you can.
Rick Roberts starts right now.
All right, 4:05 the time. I'm Rick Roberts. This is the Court of Public Opinion, the Rick Roberts Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, with you every single day, Monday through Friday from 2 to 5. And, of course, broadcasting out of Dallas-Fort Worth. And no matter where you're listening, coast to coast, it's toll-free. 1-800-288-WBAP, 1-800-288-9227. Well, I gave you the head of the snake. Great piece by Saavedra. How Obama made sure Hillary was not indicted. in the email scandal, how she probably never will be, because he'd have to take that ride with her, and that wasn't going to happen. We talked about the secret society, the shadow government, the dark state, whatever you want to term it. Does it exist? Well, I think I'd have to be a neophyte to assume it did not. Let's go to your calls. Let's go to Dan and Alan. Dan, thanks for waiting. How you doing, Dan?
Hey, Rick. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, I just and don't take this as a negative of the show. You got a great show, but I'm just wanting all the conservatives out there that are listening to take a breath on this email, text message stuff, because I don't think it's going to go anywhere in the final analysis of things. It's really gonna wind up being like a Lois Lerner kind of thing. Yeah, crimes were committed, but nothing happened. What I just explained, I think, proves why there was no indictment and why there never will be. And what I'd say that what we need to focus on is, and really it's pretty simple, we got to vote out incumbents, because I tell you, they just do not have the moral authority. They do not have the guts to stand up and call, wrongdoing. And if you think about, if you've got your intelligence agencies that are weaponized and compromised, there's no telling what they have on some of these other people that could come out. And I just think you're going to see some very timid people running for cover when it's all said and done. And they may resolve it, kind of put it off the plate, but don't expect you're going to see any perp walks or anything like that. You're not going to see anything like that.
No, I don't. See, here, when Trump used the term for the first time, drain the swamp, I thought, okay, he must gird his loins, because they're going to come at him, even members of his own party. You've just said the status quo is going out the window. And nobody wants that in D.C. That's why we don't have term limits. Nobody on either side of the aisle wants that. That's why people like Dirty Harry Reid go to D.C. from Nevada, poor as he can be, and leaves a multimillionaire.
You're right. You're doing a great job, and I thank you for all the issues that you talk about. But I just say to my conservative friends, hey, be careful when getting too wrapped up in the tennis match here, because, stick to, putting in good candidates and getting rid of some of these incumbents. That's where you're going to see the real change.
Hey, listen, I appreciate a very good, well-thought-out call. Please don't be a stranger. Let's go to John in Grapevine. John, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, but I just wanted to put in my 2 cents worth on the deep state. There is a deep state, and nothing is ever going to happen to any of these people. There are a number of people that should be indicted, and they're never going to see a courtroom. You could start with Samantha Power. You could start with Ben Rhodes. You could throw in Ms. Rice. You could throw in Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. You could throw in John Brennan. You could throw in there James Clapper, and Jay Johnson. All of these people were left-wing rats, and what's being done to Donald Trump is wrong. Not my first choice, but they're out to destroy the man, and I really believe that he will not finish his first term.
You believe that? Tell me why. Tell me why, John.
I think that they're going to, no pun intended, I think they're going to trump up some kind of charges against him where he'll either be, I think the biggest mistake he's about to make is to walk in and sit down with Comrade Mueller. There's absolutely no way I would go in there.
Well, yeah,
if they wanted to hand me a page of questions, I would sit down with my lawyer, and my lawyer would say, you can answer this one, and here's what you'll say, and you'll say, no, I'm taking the Fifth Amendment on this one. But they're out to destroy this man.
No, I absolutely agree. There is no way. I never practiced criminal law in my life. I reviewed contracts for national and international oil and gas companies, but even I'm smart enough to know, no, don't go in there and don't do it. Would I let him testify if he was my client? There's no way. Why, is he guilty of something? No, that's not the point. I'm worried about process crimes. I'm worried about wordsmithing. Yeah, provide me a list of questions you want answered by the commander-in-chief, the president. I'll sit down and give you answers to everything. But I wouldn't go in there, especially with his personality. And, that's not a dig on him, but, you can create your own problems by talking too much. Would you let the president go talk to Mueller? No. No. No, I wouldn't. And no, I don't believe he's guilty of any collusion. What happened? Right after there was no hard evidence for the they've been investigating this guy for a year on collusion, and the only thing we found out is the Clinton Foundation and the Russians were pretty friendly. We've got nothing. So what do they automatically switch to obstruction of justice? Would you let the president testify with Mueller? No, of course not. Your call, straight ahead. Nobody wants that. No, I don't think he's guilty. I think he's Donald Trump. And there's some personalities you don't put in certain positions because they do themselves more harm than good. All right. Listen, you ever try to sell a house? I have a couple of times. It was a nightmare each time. Nothing against the realtor. The realtor was fine. First you get a buyer, then the buyer goes away. Then you got another buyer. He's got great financing. Then the financing falls through. Plus you got to keep your house looking good all the time. I like to live in my house. Open Door. More specifically, opendoor.com. It's a new inventive way to sell your home. It's not your everyday traditional home selling transaction. Number one, there's no getting your home show ready. You sell your home directly to Open Door. Skip all the hassle normally associated with selling your home, like that. It's got to look and show condition all the time. No open houses that you have to schedule your life around. No waiting for months with your home on the market. You don't know what's going on. It's a lot faster. You can get a free offer on your home in less than 24 hours. Right. In less than a day, you'll know what opendoor.com will offer you. And you can close on your timeline, not somebody else's. And something else. How do you know you're getting a fair deal? Well, the pricing you see from opendoor.com is based on current real estate market conditions and detailed comps, comparisons, homes that are for sale across the street, down the block, 2 blocks over, whatever it is. Those are actual homes in your area. You see what they're asking and what they took. That way you know you're getting a fair deal. Visit opendoor.com today to request a free offer on your home, even if you're just thinking about it. Opendoor.com. It's for people that want to sell their homes, not give them away. You don't have to. Go to opendoor.com. All right, 18 minutes after the hour, 4:18 the time. See, this is why the American people aren't going to be played anymore. Like the media, for a long time. I've been in the media a long time, radio and television for over 20 years. For a long time, the media tried to pretend, oh, no, we're not biased. We're fair and balanced. We're this, we're that. They're not. Well, politics has come full circle as well. They're not even trying to pretend anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? All right, let's go to Steve. Steve in Allen. Steve, thanks for waiting. How you doing, Steve?
Pretty good, Rick. There was something I wanted to add to everything. It was apparent to me. I was a naval intelligence officer. I was a special security officer. I was responsible for security inside a SCIF, and I've helped NCIS with some investigations and prosecutions. And when Comey was running through that list or his charge sheet, and especially when he was testifying, it was quite apparent this was Hillary Clinton's defense attorney. Her defense attorney wrote that charge sheet and was testified.
That's right.
Because the whole thing was dripping with intent, but he insisted it only 18 U.S.C. 793 paragraphs D through F apply here. And he insisted it only rose to paragraph F. And DOJ had never prosecuted anybody for gross negligence, and he didn't think gross negligence was constitutional anyway. the fact of the matter was they should have charged.
It's amazing.
Charged her under paragraphs D and E, and DOJ does prosecute people for that, but he couldn't say that. Her NDAs, they
it's
later
amazing,
became public.
isn't
Her
it?
non-disclosure agreements.
I mean,
she signed those acknowledging her responsibilities, how mishandling and was illegal, and that the penalties, and it actually lists that statute on her NDAs. And on top of that, she transmitted classified information to persons unauthorized to receive it. Her daughter Chelsea and Sydney Blumenthal. That also came out later. And of course, notice that was missing from his rundown. But he knew it. He knew it at the time. And so he deliberately, as Hillary Clinton's defense attorney, downgraded her criminality so he could say, "Well, we'd be treating Hillary Clinton differently if we prosecuted her for gross negligence," because DOJ's never done that.
Well, and, not only that, but I mean the most glaring reason for this whole thing happening was the fact that Obama went on national television. And what did he do on national television? Look, I only found out about this, by watching the news. I wasn't aware of anything until I heard about it on the news. Well, that's not true because obviously he was emailing back and forth. So Clinton does what she did so well. Well, I'm going to bring you in just so far. And if I'm going down, you're going down with me. I mean, that was exactly. I found out when you found out through the media. Well, we've got information that says otherwise. No. You must be mistaken. That's not right. That can't be what's going on. Can it, Mr. President?
Little white lies been around for years. Little white lies ringing in your ears. You turn around, come around back on you. Well, that little white lie's catching up to you.
You mean the specific allegations that I think were reported first by your network out of Phoenix? I believe we learned about them through the reports. That's when we learned about them, and that's when, as I understand it, Secretary Shinseki learned about them.
I heard on the news about this story that Fast and Furious.
Everyone knows. The president did not know about this tactic until he heard about it through the media.
Something we found out about along with all of you.
He found out about the news reports yesterday on the road.
When did you first learn that the IRS was targeting conservative political groups?
I first learned about it from the same news reports that I think most people learned about this. I think it was on Friday.
When did he know that piece of information?
When it came out in the news a week ago Friday, I think.
I certainly did not know anything about the IG report before the IG report had been leaked through the press.
President Obama has used or did use that through all 8 years. I didn't know. I know nothing. Fast and Furious, IRS, the texting, the emails. I found out when you found out. I'm in the same boat you are. I mean, he used that. How many times do you think he used that? I only found out through the news when you found out through the news. Okay. All right. Man, would have been the perfect way to get away from all of it, except the wrong guy got elected. Trump ended up beating Hillary. Then all these plans started falling apart. And now, as of 5 hours ago, the Department of Justice has recovered the missing text messages between the anti-Trump FBI agent Strzok and his mistress, Miss Page. Man, there's some folks that are going to have a sleepless night in D.C. All right, 4:33 the time. I'm Rick Roberts. This is the Court of Public Opinion. Let's get to your calls. 1-800-288-9227, 1-800-288-WBAP. Somebody just asked me, well, who can you trust in government? There was your answer. Total silence. It's government. Johnson in Granbury. Johnson, thanks for waiting. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Rick. Hey, Rick, Donald Trump, he is walking straight into a deadly trap. Because I think a lot of conservatives out there, the layman conservative, thinks that this is just going to be one-on-one. He's going to walk in there and answer a few questions. Donald Trump is going to walk into that room, and there's going to be 10, 15, 20 other people in there who are all very, very well versed and rehearsed. And they all know exactly what they are going to ask and how they're going to ask it. They're going to ask the same question a dozen different ways. And understand, they don't have anything on Donald Trump, so they're going to have to manufacture something. And that's good enough for those Democrats.
Well, you and I both know, if let's just say we run a company, and we want the general public to know something about our company. And the way we're going to do that is we'll take a survey. We'll take a survey where people are just screaming accolades to the top of their lungs. You can get whatever answer you want in a survey by the way you ask the question. And that's precisely, wordsmithing is precisely what he's going up against. When he said I would testify under oath in Robert Mueller's Russia probe, I thought to myself, what are you thinking? What are you doing? They don't want they're not there to help him. They're not there to seek the truth. They are there to bury this president.
Absolutely. And why we think that all of these Democrats are just going to sit back and do like we do, we don't go after things like they do. They go after things with a viciousness like we have never seen. And they will go after Donald Trump, and their sole goal, we know, is to get him out of office.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. They, forget a second term. They don't want him to finish the first term. He said yesterday he's willing to testify in the special counsel's investigation, and he'll do so under oath. I'm looking forward to it, actually, he said. He was talking to reporters in the West Wing. If I were his legal team, I'd say, don't open your mouth about doing anything without checking with us first. Not because of implied guilt, but because of the personality. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Let's go to Marianne. Marianne in Plano. Marianne, thanks for waiting. How you doing, Marianne?
Very well, thank you. And, Rick, your show is really good. You are so knowledgeable, and you do such a great job of explaining information. So if nobody's told you, you have a really good program.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I have to agree with the previous callers of a comment about Trump, and I'm hoping that the other part of his comment was based on his lawyer's feedback or approval or whatever. So I'm hoping that the lawyers are bulldogs enough to rein him in on that, because even if he says he wants to testify, he has basically been up against so many negatives, and he's come out on the plus side that, I just don't know how much, longer before someone tries to get him that they will get him just because. So that's a little concerning to me. But the real reason that I called is partly because of the Hillary and the voting in California. And I guess when you look at Hillary Clinton and the DOJ and all of these so-called citizens that are supposed to be upholding the law and the Constitution, and so many pundits have indicated that she will never be prosecuted because she was a first lady, she was a senator, she was a secretary of state, and, they just won't do it. And I guess my feeling is those are the people that should be held to a higher standard anyway. And it's time that somebody puts an end to it and holds them accountable so that, number one, they're treated like everyone else. And if you break the law, if you do things that are criminal, then you should be held accountable and pay the price, not just like the regular John Q. Public that gets held to different standards. So that's my feeling about that. And that would replace more trust, I believe, in the government than anything else, is if these people are pursued based on evidence and held accountable, you know.
Well, with Hillary's email situation, she'll never be indicted for that, because if you indict her on that, then you drag Obama into it, and he's not going to allow that to happen. I don't know, unless, of course, we basically decimate by virtue of laying off and rehiring everybody in the FBI and the DOJ and the holdovers from the Obama administration. I don't know how you satisfy yourself that you're on a level playing field, because as I just explained, it's obvious that Hillary and Obama were going back and forth on an unsecured server, but Obama went out not once but twice on national television and said he didn't know anything about it until the news. Obviously, that would be proved a lie. It has been. I just did that. Right. There's no way to get to her without going through Obama.
Well, I agree. It's almost like reading a Vince Flynn novel, because so much of this corruption goes so deep, and it's really like, this can't be true, but it is. And that's the sad part of it. And I think you talked about this yesterday, your screener said, and I missed because I was working, but because even with Hillary and the Democrats, the thing that concerns me is what they're doing in California with the voter registration, with the driver's licenses, and I don't know why they don't see that as collusion with a foreign government, because those are foreign citizens that they're trying to give the right to vote. So how does that not be collusion for an election? And how can that not stopped? And then where do we draw the line between states and cities that are following the laws that they only want to follow, to where we fall into anarchy?
Well, that's, the thing with California, they have an excuse. Well, we say right on the form that if, you're not a U.S. citizen, stop right here, don't fill out the rest of the form. We've all seen that. And we're operating under federal law. Well, what about Phoenix, Arizona, when Jan Brewer had to codify a federal law to get illegals out of her city in Phoenix? I mean, these people cover each other so many different ways. I mean, the thing that makes all of this so heinous in my mind is how foreign it is to all of us. We don't think about, when we think about stuff like secret societies and shadow governments and deep state and all that, we think of Russia or we think of China. It happens there, but it doesn't happen here. Well, it is happening here.
It is, yes, it is happening here. And we need to just basically frickin' turn the light on and expose it all. And I think that would go a long way for putting trust back into the system, because then we know that the crooked ones are exposed and they get out. Well, and we go on. I think it's going to have to take a big, bottle of bleach.
Well, it's going to take the American people. I mean, I don't know if you remember Ezra Klein, the journalist. Basically, all the elite journalists were plotting their collective talking points for the sake of Obama. We had the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency officials, writing in pseudonyms to evade the Freedom of Information Act request. Just go back and study Richard Windsor. I mean, this is crazy. Why does the EPA need to use a pseudonym? Because if somebody, through the Freedom of Information Act wanted to find out who was paying who, they couldn't be nailed on it because they couldn't prove who said it. I mean, that's not a government. That's a dictatorial administration that is working to keep what they're doing out of the sight of the public eye.
Right. Well, Hillary's been awfully quiet lately. You don't see her speaking out about much of anything, which tells me she's keeping a low profile, as is Bill.
She's home counting the money from the Clinton Foundation. That takes a long time.
What's left of it. Yeah, exactly. What's left of it, which is still millions. So
yeah, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. Listen, I appreciate the kind words, Marianne. Appreciate the call. Please don't be a stranger. 4:43 the time. You want to check that afternoon drive? Yeah, I think we should. Man, there's so much I need to get to. I'll have to save this for tomorrow. Commerce Secretary Ross said today the left-wing media has no... If you ever wanted to see what fake news is about, this is it. He said the left-wing media has no alternative but to make up fiction, fake news, about the success of the tax cuts legislation. But he said the facts will eventually win the day. He was talking, about the Davos Global Economic Summit in Switzerland, right? The media, they don't have any alternative but to make it up. Eventually, facts overcome fiction. The guy that just got a $1,000 check, and by the way, there were almost 2 million of those guys, got a $1,000 check. He doesn't care what the left-wing media says. The person who gets a tax cut in the next withholding he or she sees on their check, they're not going to care what the left-wing media says. One of the best things for consumer spending is something approaching 2 million American workers who got a $1,000 bonus, or will in January, specifically because of the tax bill. Who would ever thought that would happen? Or the millions of people that got voluntary raise in their minimum wage. Last year, when we were all sitting around, talking, I remember talking to Curtis Ellis and Steve Moore and everybody about, man, if we could just get to 3% GDP, and all of the media lined up and said, you guys are absolutely nuts. 3% GDP? What's wrong with you? The economy can't grow at any higher than 2% given the size of the economy and where we are right now. That's what the media said. So now we're at 3% moving forward on the GDP, and we're going to be at a sustained 3% or higher, and it's called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Because this was about creating American jobs, and that's what it was all about. So what's the media going to do? Well, it won't last. It's any time now, this thing's going to fall through the cracks. Look out. Here we go. All right. Well, I'll get to some of that tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow, Chuck E. Schumer's government shutdown reveals one thing to me. One thing. And, man, you can take this to the bank along with your $1,000 bonus check you got because of Trump's tax cut. It reveals 100% that Democrats are willing to destroy America to try and spite Trump. Trump, he was inaugurated a little over a year ago after promising to make America great again. Throughout the entire campaign, everyone knew what he was believing. Everybody knew that. Though it wasn't clear what the opposition stood for, that's why they lost, everybody knew what Trump stood for. The Chuck E. Schumer shutdown revealed the totality of the Democrats' agenda. Animosity and amnesty. Even to the tune of Trump talking about, well, I might be willing to give amnesty to the Dreamers. That's not what we said. We didn't say amnesty. When President Trump set out to deliver these tax cuts, Democrats sat on their hands. Not one of them voted for it. Rather than participating in the legislative process the way the founding fathers had envisioned, okay, well, you get these two parties together. Yeah, they're going to argue. They're going to rail against one another's legislation. But in the end, what's supposed to be happening, the American people are supposed to be served in the end. We're way past that. Well, now the Democrats have come off the sidelines to actively, and they did, sabotage the government established to serve the American people. Their stated reason for doing so is even more astounding than shutting the government down itself. It's because of DACA. It's because of non-citizens. Never before in American history has a major political party put the interest of law-breaking foreign nationals ahead of the interest of you. Yet that's exactly what the Democrats have done in holding the government hostage to try and get special favors for illegal immigrants. Man, if that doesn't slap you down and call you Sally, nothing will. It's obvious what the Democrats are. They're willing to destroy this country to spite this president. And they don't care if you get hurt in the process. This is what I'm going to start with tomorrow. Now, tomorrow I'll be broadcasting live from the Amen Center, the exhibit hall, at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. It's always a little tough sometimes because it's so loud. So if you want to be a part of the show, I encourage that. Just talk really loud. Rick, can you hear me over that bull? Yeah, I got you good. But this is what I'm going to start with because I wanted to try and get to that today, and I just don't have time. Chuck Schumer, the shutdown of the government, and not that it was, life-altering, but it reveals one thing. Democrats will destroy America if it's between that and successfully spiting Donald Trump, this president. I mean, just think about it. They came off the sidelines. Not one of them voted for your tax cut or your increase in minimum wage or your $1,000 bonus or bringing corporations back to America because we made it more favorable to do business. Not one of them voted for that. Not one. But they did jump off the sidelines and say, hey, if you give law-breaking illegal nationals this, then we'll give the American people something. This to me isn't as much against the Republican Party as it is against me personally and every other American living within the borders of this country. Okay, now I got another show going and I'm out of time. That's what we're going to start with tomorrow. We'll take your calls on that. Have a great, great evening. Of course, Mark Levin, he'll be along in just a little bit. I'll be back with you tomorrow afternoon at 2 for your afternoon drive. God's blessings on each and every one of you. I know I'm not shoving Christianity down your throat, but if you haven't tried it, you might give it a shot. It works for a lot of us. God's blessings on you, whether we agree or not. That's always my priority. I'm Rick Roberts, the Court of Public Opinion on News Talk 820 WBAP.
Till the job gets done. That's the only way I know. Don't stop till everything's gone. Straight ahead.